Hi, this is June, and I wanted to finish up on Leo. Okay, now, based upon the order of the birth order of the 12 tribes, I came up with the ascendant. Based upon that, the ascendant would be Libra. Now, Libras are known to be charmers. They love beautiful things, beautiful, shiny, attractive things. They are people who, I think, even the sun and on the ascendant, who know how to put their best foot forward as far as appearance. They also know how to say the right things. Now, I had a friend who was a Scorpio. I mentioned before her father was a Libra. And her mother said, you know what, you should call him a Libra because he lies all the time. Now, this was in the 1980s, and basically it seemed like it was a kind of a theme that men just lied, period, not just Libras, just all of them. And I guess, you could take it further and say, well, people just lie. But Libras, especially I think in the ascendant, have been known to have some difficulties like Pisces with reality testing. That is that Pisces most definitely wants to tell you how they want it to be. Like I had a Pisces friend, and she used to always say, well, they don't have to know that. Whenever she'd say, well, this is how it is, and I could tell these people that, but they don't need to know that. And, when people tell you things like that, you have to make a conscious understanding that they mean you too in a different setting. But anyway, that's the basis for Libra, and Libra is the scales. Now, I had a boyfriend who was a Libra back in the day, and he liked to argue with me all the time about stupid stuff. And I'm an air sign too, so it seems like we should have gotten along better. But I don't like arguments, and if I'm forced to argue, I definitely don't want to argue over stupid stuff. But he also was extremely charming when he wasn't arguing. But I can't remember what his birth date was, but he definitely had a thing about arguing with people because he had these ideals and he wanted people to follow those ideals. And so he would spout out about these ideals regardless of whether anyone wanted to hear them or not. And that could be what they mean by balancing the scales. That is, if there is what I had read is that when they balance the scales, it may not be in a peaceful manner. It may be that they come in, see that the scales are unbalanced, and with a certain amount of force, verbally or whatever, they are putting them back in order. Now, my second daughter is a Libra rising, and yes, she did spend an inordinate amount of time getting prepared physically. So yeah, she was definitely the most glamorous of the three. And that is also something about Libra. Now, back to the tribe of Dan. Libra would theoretically be the rising sign, but the sun sign is Leo. And as I said before, Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun loves Leo. Leos love the spotlight. They feel like it's natural for them, and they feel as if they are royalty automatically. And if you look back at the blessings given or the things that were said when Dan, who I'm equating with the sign of Leo. His mother was Rachel, the less favored wife. His mother, Dan's mother, was Rachel's handmaiden. So if you think about that, that means that he was actually in the weakest position in the camp. His other, let me see, I believe he had another brother. Well, of course he did, but I can't remember who that was at the moment. But in any case, he and whatever siblings he had were not just by the least favored wife, or even by the maid of the more favored wife. They were from the maid of the least favored wife. So of all the children, they would have been probably given a little bit less attention. Let's see if I can find real quick who was his total brother. That would have been Naphtali. Okay, so back to Dan. So Dan, however, was given a very big prophecy by his adoptive mother, basically, Rachel. And she said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore she called his name Dan. So Dan means judge for the most part. So it could be that Dan is looking at the world and saying, I'm in this least favored position here, and I've got kind of a Napoleonic complex where I'm going to make them see me, make them see how big and bad I am. Now this is kind of supported by what his father said. In his prophecy, he says, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path, that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. Now, this does not sound all that nice if you really look at it. Now, when it says, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Now, I used to read that for a long time and wonder, well, wait a minute, he is one of the tribes. What do you mean? Well, I think that if you look at the laws as to who would be considered one of the tribes, one of the members, well, if you married outside or you had children outside of that race, well, you would still be considered an Israelite, but your children wouldn't. So my theory is, and a few other people's theory, is that Dan did not remain an Israelite. Dan changed, and he became in a position where maybe he felt that he was being judged. He was now able to judge others. And also, if you look at the next part of what his father says, well, he says that he shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path, that biteth the horse heels, so that the rider shall fall backwards. That's a lot of stuff going on there. And the first place we hear about serpent, and if you remember the law of first mention, is back in Genesis, when the serpent talked to Eve. Okay, and it tells you not only is he a serpent, but an adder. Now, I read somewhere that is like a crowned serpent. So again, it's a reference to, or it could be a reference to royalty, depending upon what translation you're looking at. And it says that he biteth the horse's heels. Now, again, I think that has to do with Sagittarius. Sagittarius is half horse, half human. But he is the only other sign that has anything to do with a horse. So I think it has something to do with what Sagittarius rules, which is religion. Sagittarius rules worship or sacrifice, basically. When it gets really down to organized religion, it becomes more Capricorn. But worship, in its purest form, is a Sagittarius kind of thing. And it says, so that its rider shall fall backward. Well, the only sign that is totally human, because Virgo was at first a horn of plenty, then they changed it. Though if you look at the sky, I think it is a female. But the sign that is generally considered the only human sign is Aquarius. So it seems like it's telling you that this person is that Dan shall somehow get out of being one of the 12 tribes, but he will still judge them in some sort of a negative way, and that he will have something to do with worship, and he will cause people, because Aquarius is the opposite of Leo. Leo is considered royalty, and Aquarius is considered like the everyman kind of person, or actually even a slave, because if you think about Aquarius, he's carrying water for everybody else. So it's telling you, basically, what I'm trying to say is that I think that it's telling you the ultimate Antichrist, because it is written that there are many Antichrists. I think anybody who goes against the Christ or tries to stand in his way is an Antichrist. But I do believe that there is one in particular Antichrist, and I think it's telling you that this one will come from the tribe of Dan. Now, if you read the biblical accounts of what the tribe did, and if you look at the Wikipedia account, it shows you that Dan wasn't given a prominent role in the history of the 12 tribes. And he has his little place here next to Ephraim, and right off of Philistia, who were enemies of the people. But in any case, Dan was not given a big role to play. What happened was, if you look at what his father also said about him, that's not it. It has to be what Okay, the prophecy that Moses gave was that Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan. Okay, basically what that is telling you is that he was not given a major role or even a really large area for his inheritance. He will take it. He will leap from Bashan. He will go forth. He will conquer. And his natural sign that he was given, he's called a serpent, but he's not going to act like a serpent. He's going to leap forth like a lion. Also, in Revelations, when they're mentioning all the tribes that will be part of the 144,000, Dan is not mentioned. So somewhere along the line, Dan kind of switched over a little bit. Now, the thing about Dan also is that he's right on the water. So when you look at the movie 300, it's an old movie now. I guess it's about 10 years old. And I remember when it came out, everybody was looking at all the men's abdominal muscles. Well, those Spartans were probably Danites. The Danites started, instead of going in this direction toward the tribes, they started going in that direction toward, well, whatever direction Greece is from there. And they kind of mixed in with the Grecians, so I can see how they could have totally lost their identity. So again, nothing against Leos. I just think it's telling you the Antichrist is coming from that particular tribe. Something to think about. You all have a wonderful day.